private citizen picks up a phone. He's got no badge and no rank and no office of any kind inside the Zootopia Police Department. And he asks for the ZPD's tactical captain by name, and she takes the call.
Get me, Hogbottom.
So 7 minutes of screen time later, the same man tells the captain which round to load.
No more tranquilizers. Put them down.
Now, the internet has been calling Zootopia copaganda for years, and this isn't that video. That fight belongs to the copaganda camp because it's about what these films say about real policing, and they've made it better than I would. Mine's smaller, and it never leaves the story. Inside the story, the ZPD only reaches the animals who own the city when its officers are outside of it, and Zootopia 2 shows you whose call it takes. Half of you have been saying a version of this since 2016. The other half are in the Hogbottom camp, the one that watched the SWAT captain lower her weapon and decided she's a good pig, which she is, and that the department was just misled. We've already done who was behind the night howlers. This one's about who was holding the leash every time. This department has a phone, and watch who gets to call it. Before anybody picks up that phone, the department gets its defense. The sequel hands this department its best day in the first 10 minutes, and Bogo plans the shipyard raid himself.
Captains Hogbottom and Truffler will lead.
Two teams flank while the Zebros come up the middle, and the rookies are told to observe. The rookies ignore that and wreck half a district, and the veterans close the net without them.
Sir, today may not have been ideal, but the anteater was captured.
By the Zebros!
That's a case closed in-house by this department, and I won't pretend otherwise. It's never once closed a case that reached the animals who own this city without a fired, suspended, or hunted officer forcing it from outside the building. And the thread out of that crate is the one that reaches them, and it gets dropped 2 minutes later in the chief's office.
And some type of reptile skin. I've already sent samples for testing, and if you—
What needs testing is you! You two tore up half the city!
It goes into an evidence bag with a case number on it and sits on his desk, and the film never mentions it again. Then the chief does the other half of the job properly.
Did you or did you not disobey a direct order to stand down?
It gets better for them too, because when Captain Hogbottom rounds the corner at the Linksley Gala and starts screaming, she isn't doing it for the Linksleys. The shooting script tells you what she's actually seeing. There's a rabbit crouched over the unconscious chief of police, pulling a snake's fang out of his head, and there's a witness in the room narrating it before she can take in what she's looking at.
Helping the snake. They're trying to kill the chief.
Under any standard you like, that's a lawful arrest attempt, and the two officers she points at run for it. They take evidence off a crime scene and they go out a window. That's the department that's been lied to, behaving exactly like you'd expect. The first film is cleaner still. Mayor Lionheart's running a black site full of savage predators, and the reason the ZPD isn't investigating it is that he's personally keeping it from them.
Chief Bogo doesn't know, and we are going to keep it that way.
That defense is real and it holds, and Bogo isn't in on it. There isn't a ZPD uniform or badge anywhere in Cliffside before the raid. It's all wolf guards and medical staff. So when the call finally comes, the response is enormous. Around 10 squad cars and 2 helicopters surround the building, and Chief Bogo walks out with Mayor Lionheart in handcuffs. The best critical piece I've read on these movies already says half of it, and this arrest is where I part ways with it. Film Police reviews put it this way: although the film frames the ZPD as mere puppets of the powerful Linksley clan, it ultimately grants them moral redemption in the final act. This sudden shift asks the audience to overlook their long-standing complicity. But a department that walks a sitting mayor out in handcuffs is nobody's puppet. A puppet doesn't run its own case files, and this department has case files and a bullpen and a car park full of squad cars. And long-standing undersells it. Run the whole 100 years and the force never really changes, only the animal allowed to point it does. The sequel finishes the same way, with the ZPD taking down the founding family of the city. But every one of those arrests is handed to the department with the case already finished. The Cliffside raid happens because a rookie the chief had already fired once made a phone call.
Officer Hopps just called. She found all of them.
The museum arrest happens because the animal behind the whole thing dialed 911 herself to frame a fox.
Yes, police! There's a savage fox in the Natural History Museum. Officer Hopps is down. Please hurry.
So Bogo and his officers walk into a confession that a resigned officer has already recorded, at a time and place she picked. The cars were parked out front the whole time and the helicopters had fuel in them, and both times the only thing missing was somebody outside that building telling the department where to send them. So if the ZPD can do all of that in an afternoon, what exactly was it doing for the 2 weeks before? Okay, so 14 mammals are missing, and the chief calls it the most important thing in the building.
City Hall is right up my tail to find them. This is priority number 1.
He doesn't sit on those files either, which people get wrong constantly. He staffs them out loud in front of the whole bullpen.
Assignments? Officers Grizzoli, Fangmai, Delgato, your teams take missing mammals from the Rainforest District.
McHorn, Reinowitz, and Wolfhard take Sahara Square. Higgins, Snarloff, and Trunkaby take Tundra Town. He put 9 named officers across 3 districts on this, with teams under each. And then a wife pushes past the front desk and begs in the chief's office, with the rookie standing right there.
My husband has been missing for 10 days.
Ma'am, our detectives are very busy.
So she's standing in the chief's office holding a photograph of her husband, and what she gets back is a busy signal. The desk sergeant then reads out the whole file on one of the 14, and you can hear how busy they are.
Leads none, witnesses none, and you're not in the computer system yet, so resources none.
Then the rookie brings back the biggest lead anybody has produced.
Savage, this isn't the Stone Age, Hopps. Animals don't go savage.
He denies the premise and calls the only witness unreliable for being a fox. And then he asks her for her badge. And the fox does the arithmetic out loud in front of his own officers.
In 2 days to solve a case you guys haven't cracked in 2 weeks? None of you guys were gonna help her. Were you?
So Bogo gets about half a word out, and Nick talks straight over him and walks out with the last 10 hours of that deal intact. And the chief lets it stand. He says no, and then he backs down, and both of those are Bogo. Anyway, where did those 48 hours come from? 24 minutes earlier, this happened.
You're fired. Insubordination.
It's for cause, and he shouts the cause. Then he rehearses, word by word, what Judy's going to say to the wife waiting outside. And the door opens on the assistant mayor, and the second Bogo says her name, she's already got her phone out.
I just heard Officer Hopps is taking the case.
Now, she isn't threatening anybody, she's delighted. And the chief of police, under half a minute after a termination for cause, doesn't defend it and doesn't repeat it. He tries to hold the news back instead.
No, let's not tell the mayor just yet.
You only try to hold that back if you're not sure the decision was really yours.
I will give you 48 hours.
48 seconds is all that sits between the firing and the reinstatement. Nobody holds a hearing or files any paperwork, and the firing never comes up again in either movie. Nothing on screen says that's illegal, but it is a police department where a termination for cause just disappears the second somebody from City Hall is standing in the room. It reads as normal in there because the mayor staffs this building, and we watched him do it on a stage with the press right in front of him.
It is my great privilege to officially assign you to the heart of Zootopia, Precinct 1.
Do you think the mayor asked what I wanted when he assigned you to me?
That's the head of the ZPD describing his own hiring authority, and he doesn't actually have any. So my case is thinnest right here. In the first film, nobody from City Hall ever picks up a phone and points this department at a person. Lionheart doesn't command the ZPD. He staffs it and then works around it, and that works just as well because you don't really need to command a body, you can keep blind. And when Judy needs the traffic cameras that break the whole case, her own department is a locked door.
But I have a friend at City Hall who might.
So a badged officer on priority number 1 can't get into the city's traffic cameras through her own department, and the mayor's office opens them in under a minute. That blindness goes all the way down to his own desk. 1 minute before Mrs. Otterton walks in, the exact flower this whole conspiracy runs on is sitting on it in a bag, and it gets identified out loud.
Those are a crocus varietal called Midnacampum holocysthius. They're a Class C botanical, sir.
Shut your tiny mouth now!
And nothing comes out of it, and the counts know better because nobody in this building ever counts its own missing mammals. 2 animals do, and neither's sitting in that building. Cornered at his own secret ward, Lionheart says 12 1/2.
Got 12 1/2 animals here who've gone off the rails crazy, and you can't tell me why.
Judy's checking cages against her own paperwork with Emerton sitting in one of them, and she says 14.
Chief Bogo handed out 14 missing mammal files. They're all here.
Now, the line's talking off the cuff, and Manchus isn't in her stack, so I can't give you a clean cell count. The number read out loud from the podium is the rookies, though.
14 mammals went missing, and all 14 have been found by our newest recruit.
Nobody in that building ever checks it against the mayor's. The department was never the one counting. When the office changes hands and the ZPD finds out what it's actually for, Bellwether takes City Hall and sends for the chief, and the cheetah on the front desk comes off the front desk.
They're gonna move me to records. It's downstairs. It's by the boiler.
And so that's why Chief Bogo and I want you to be the public face of the ZPD.
So a predator gets moved out of the lobby for optics and a rookie gets put out front as the face of it. And the chief sits right there next to her and lets his name go on it. That's a bypassed police force, blind and out of leads for 2 straight weeks while the animal who staffed it hid a black site from it. In the sequel, nobody bothers routing around it. So the chief of police goes down on the floor of the Linksley Manor and he's out for the rest of the case and nobody replaces him. So who's running the department then? The first mammal to try is standing in that room 40 seconds before the crime happens. Milton Linksley's first instinct, with the 2 cops in front of him, is to write their paperwork for them.
And you two will file a report that he attacked us. And you will keep your mouths shut.
His son gives the arriving captain the story, and by that night it's on television as established fact.
All 3 now suspects in the tragic fanging of Zootopia's chief of police and considered extremely dangerous.
2 serving officers get named as suspects in one night with no hearing anywhere in it. Then Milton turns to the mayor he personally installed, and the mayor's only objection is adorable.
I want them gone.
But aren't there laws?
You will retrieve the journal and bury them. Or maybe I chose the wrong mayor. Did I choose the wrong mayor?
The next scene has no dialogue at all, and the shooting script sets it on the front steps of the ZPD. So a private citizen tells a mayor that the law isn't the point, and the mayor answers by watching the units roll out after 2 of his own officers. And then the department comes through a reptile neighborhood and the residents ring an alarm bell for it. A whole district has a police arrival alarm and a trained response to it, and the reason goes back 100 years, which we'll get to. Then they take Nick at the honeymoon lodge.
Mayor Windancer. He's messing with you, sir.
I knew that. Get him out of here.
So a tactical captain hands her prisoner to an elected politician at the scene, and it's the politician who says what happens to him. 8 seconds later, Nick's locked in the back of a ZPD van, and Milton Linksley's running the interview through the bars. Nobody with a badge stops him, and the van sits there until he's finished.
Where are they, Mr. Wilde?
He tells the fox why nobody's going to stop him.
Water folk, like foxes, are lesser mammals. If I say they helped a dangerous snake, no one will care what we do.
Then he passes sentence.
You're going to a dark cell, Mr. Wilde. Just long enough to read the headline of your partner's demise.
That's exactly where Nick goes. A private citizen said what he wanted and the department went and delivered it. He did still have to route it through a mayor though, and he's about to stop bothering. It takes 33 seconds for a mammal with no job title to reach the captain of a tactical unit standing in a prison cell block. And there's a serving ZPD officer in that same cell block, behind bars, telling her exactly what this is.
Get me Hogbottom.
Fern, it's Milton Linksley. He's got the Rebus location.
Whatever he says, it's a lie, Hogbottom.
She walks out of the cell block to go take the civilian's call, and the metal door slams on her own officer mid-sentence. She takes the civilian's word over his, and the unit rolls out on it. You don't ever see them go, you just hear it from Nick's cell, the shout, and then the tires.
The rabbits in Desert Jeans! Roll out!
Nobody shows a warrant, there's no supervisor in frame, and nobody asks how a private citizen knows the location of a fugitive the whole department spent a day hunting. In the first film, it took an assistant mayor physically standing in a doorway to move these people. Here, it takes one phone call from a mammal who doesn't work there. Then he stays on the line.
Sir?
Put them down now!
So that one syllable is as far as her objection goes on the record, to a civilian ordering lethal force on a serving officer, and then she loads the round.
Take the shot! Take the shot! Do it!
That's not the tranquilizer from the Linksley house, and nobody in either film says what's in that, so I won't speculate. Now, that call and that round are what this whole case stands on, and if I'm wrong about them, the case gets a lot weaker. Everything else here could just be a department that's slow and badly run and getting lied to, but a tip is one thing. A civilian telling a police captain which round to put in the gun is something else completely. On screen, the round is a black body with a red top and yellow warning labels, while the Linksley house tranquilizer was silver with a green tail. She doesn't take the shot. So slow that down. A rabbit she shares a bullpen with, and there's Milton Linksley in her ear telling her to kill it. And she stops because she can't bring herself to do it, and no rule out there tells her to stop. That's the Hog Bottom Camp's whole argument, and it's the right one. The film's telling you she's a good cop, and I agree with that. But the only thing between Judy and that round is her nerve, and there's no supervisor anywhere near her. It's one pig holding her nerve, and the department left her out there on her own. And the round leaves the weapon anyway. Judy's alive because a Sloth's car happens to get in the way, and Hog Bottom has to live with the fact that she was still holding it. What would break this is one scene of a ZPD officer being handed an unlawful order and refusing it, before the evidence lands and not after. And the films come close exactly once, and it's the strongest thing standing against me.
You are an escaped fugitive! I could get fired for even talking to you!
Does it anyway. He gets into a department terminal during a live operation and hands over the location that saves Judy's life.
Oh, I got it! Desert Tundra Town Weather Wall Access Door!
Desert Tundra Town Weather Wall Access Door, hurry!
Louser is a good cop. That's also not the scene that breaks this theory, though, because nobody handed him an order. He's a dispatcher working off the books on his own and scared. So Clawhauser is one dispatcher doing the right thing off the books, and the same department that produced him is the one that put him down by the boiler. And that bell behind the bar goes back 100 years, so that's where I'm going next. None of this starts with Milton. 100 years earlier, a wealthy lynx murders his own maid outside a snake's front door and points at the snake who ran out to help her.
He committed a murder. His own maid. And framed Gary's great-grandmother. Because she was a snake, everyone believed his lie.
Nobody investigates and nobody asks the snake anything. A mammal with money names a suspect and 4 officers make that arrest. And that's the whole process. The next bit happens in silence. Ebenezer throws the switch and Reptile Ravine goes dark and the reptiles pack up and leave. Those 2 aren't carrying anybody's boxes. They're standing there so nobody argues on the way out. A whole neighborhood pays for it, and it's why an iguana, a century later, keeps a bell behind a bar.
They push animals out with lies so they can have more.
Now, one flashback on its own isn't a century, but these films keep running the same play, and the last time round, there's nobody giving the order at all. Judy's dying on a control room floor, poisoned by a lynx with a venom injector, and Gary's got her in his coils, keeping her going while he reaches for the pen that saves her, and 4 ZPD officers come through the door.
Hey, he's gonna eat that rabbit! No, wait, I'm saving her!
So they wrestle the animal, keeping their colleague alive, and this time there's no Milton on a phone and no mayor and no order from anybody. You can take the corrupting influence out of the room completely, and this department still nearly kills its own officer. That's 2 officers knocked out and a 3rd hit with a door, all done by a serving officer so she could get out of a room her own colleagues were holding her in. Nobody gets disciplined, and nobody apologizes. And yes, Judy and Nick are the ZPD, but look at what they had to do to get the job done. She cracks the 14 on a 2-day ultimatum and keeps the shipyard thread going while she's pulled from the field, and then she finishes the Lynxleys while the entire force is hunting her. The arrest at the clock tower gets made by a fugitive.
It's called an arrest, sweetheart.
Then there's the question of who keeps their job. Milton spends the 3rd act openly running the mayor of Zootopia, and he names the price out loud.
You want to keep your job. You say nothing.
Winddancer does turn on the Lynxleys in the end, and I'll give him that. He was in over his head, and he fights back the second he gets the chance, and the film sells that as his redemption. But he never says a word about the manhunt he signed off on, and nobody ever asks him. And he keeps the job. And the news names exactly 1 guilty party.
While the now disgraced Lynxley family were revealed to have stolen the original plans and covered it up for decades.
1 family takes the whole fall, and not 1 officer even gets named in either movie, never mind investigated. And Bogo keeps the leadership position. And the sequel's big send-off for this department is a medal ceremony, the whole force standing at attention while Winddancer pins them on. So, the ZPD isn't incompetent and it isn't evil. It's available, and for 100 years, the same kind of animal keeps making the call.
I didn't join the ZPD because I wanted to be a cop. I joined because I always wanted to be part of a pack.
Then there's Judy. Nick joined because of her, and the badge just came with it. She wanted that badge more than anything in this city. She moved into a shoebox flat and wrote 200 parking tickets before lunch just to get it. And then she stood on a stage while City Hall pinned it on. She spent 2 films proving anyone can be anything. and both times she had to be fired, suspended, or hunted by her own employer before it would let her do the job it hired her for. The badge turned out to be the leash, and she kept slipping it, and she's still wearing it. She walks out of that medal ceremony back into the same building under the same chief, and the number still works. So Ebenezer had 4 rhinos, Lionheart had a stage and a press office, Bellwether had a phone and a fake voice. Milton didn't even need a title, he just needed the number. Zootopia 3 got confirmed at D23 in August, and they teased birds, so a whole new population is arriving in a city where nobody's ever asked the police department about any of this. I'll be checking that first act for whose call Precinct 1 takes. If the third film hands you another rogue villain and another medal ceremony, then it's the same department, and it's still answering the phone. And tell me in the comments whether this earns me a desk upstairs or a filing cabinet down by the boiler. YouTube's already picked what you're watching next, so go check that one out.